Hey team, I just wanted to start out by saying thank you for engaging with Monday's readings and your thoughtful responses. We are in some very weird times, so I'm happy to see the learning and engagement continue. Today's learning objective is I can read a current events news article to examine an author's use of claims and evidence and how that develops their argument by writing a powerful paragraph that meets or exceeds expectations. You'll be reading How the Pandemic Will End by Ed Yong, which was published in The Atlantic on March 25th. And I know that with how fast this news cycle moves, it may seem like an old article, but it is still valid in all of its points and is especially prescient in these times. That'll also be the only article you're looking at today. It is fairly lengthy, as most things are from The Atlantic. If you remember Coates, that was an article in The Atlantic. Before you continue to that reading though, I want to review Monday's lesson, give some announcements, and talk grading. So to review, we have had a total of 9 hours of learning time with students completing the readings on average in about an hour and a half, and I think that is super cool. So thank you for engaging. If you haven't completed the work from Monday yet, I suggest you do that first. But for those that did it, a lot of y'all did some really excellent work and have been engaging with this and thinking about the pandemic in a really critical lens and looking at media bias. And for that, I'm really appreciative. If you go into Actively Learn and click on My Data, you will see some personalized recommendations for you to improve and for you to improve specifically. So it kind of looks at how quickly are you reading the text, how much time are you spending on the text, what questions you're getting right, which questions you're getting wrong, and how much you're writing in your responses. And it's looking at that relative to the rest of the class and what the expectation is based on some model responses. And then it creates those improvement recommendations like algorithmically. And for most of them that I've been looking at, they have been spot on. But also I have given you some feedback as well. So take a look at some of the previous assignments, the last 3 articles. And I have been throwing in some feedback where appropriate. So just take a look at that as well. Overall, I noticed we did a great job summarizing portions of the text. We also did well looking at key terms, but we still have a ways to go when it comes to evaluating an author's argument. The main issue that I am noticing is that we are not using direct evidence to support claims in our paragraph responses. You may be making specific references to the articles, but you're not throwing any quotes in there. So make sure you're using direct evidence to support your claims. An argument is only as strong as the evidence that is being used, and particularly in an AP Language and Composition class, we're looking at breaking down and analyzing argumentation and rhetoric. And in order to do that effectively, you need to be looking specifically at specific quotes. So just throw those in there, use them strategically to support your claims, and grades will go higher. Now for a couple of logistics, I have a couple of announcements, and then I'll go over what you need to do for today and the rest of the week. First off, about Actively Learn, the questions are not actually equally weighted. You probably have noticed that some questions are really quick to get through and other questions require a lot more of you. The questions that require you to respond in a complete paragraph are actually triple weighted compared to the other questions, like the multiple choice questions. I thought that the platform tells you that, but it seems like that's not the case. So sorry, that was unclear. For today and for the rest of the week, you have 3 things that you need to do. So 1, today, you will need to read and complete the questions for How the Pandemic Will End by Ed Yong. That is in Actively Learn. 2, you will need to complete the week 1 check-in form if you have not done so already. I understand that some of you may not have had access to this form previously, but I think I fixed that error, so please go do that if you haven't done that yet. 3 is the discussion board. You will need to post your initial discussion board post for this week by today, and then by Friday, you will need to have responded to 2 people. This first week is kind of just like getting into the groove of things. So literally the discussion board post is asking for you to respond in emojis. But moving forward, we're gonna have more engaging topics and questions to engage with, and hopefully that leads and sparks better discussion, kind of like those that we were having in class. At least that's the hope. And that's all for this week. Starting next week, you'll also have an assessment due each week on Friday. This is a bit of a bye week because I understand that we're still transitioning into this distance learning thing, and I'm sure a lot of y'all are taking multiple AP classes that is requiring a lot of work from you. So that's going to be starting next week. So for this week, 3 things. 1, this article in Actively Learned by Ed Yong about when the pandemic will end. 2, do that check-in if you haven't done so already. And 3, you need that initial post in Actively Learn and 2 follow-ups to 2 different classmates by Friday. Regarding grading, if you have any work to turn in for quarter 3 that must be completed by this Friday, there's Makeup Work in Google Classroom. And if you have any paper assignments, you can email or text those to me. The research project also falls into quarter 3. So please do that as well if you haven't turned that in yet. The folks who have turned it in, for the most part, has been really excellent work. And I'm really proud of y'all. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what else y'all have to say with your interesting research questions. All quarter 3 grades will be finalized by next week, Friday. All work from this week will be graded and uploaded to Infinite Campus before our next lesson on Monday as well. So then grades will be a lot more consistent and updated moving forward. It's just simply easier to grade online. Overall, though, just please stay in touch, post some dank memes on Slack, and do not hesitate to reach out if there's anything I can help you with. I'm here to support you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see y'all on Monday.